The moment I realized my family had planned my downfall, they were already walking away from me. My mother turned back one last time at the airport in Paris and gave me a cold smile. Then she casually told me that I should have checked my bag because I no longer had a ticket. Before I could even process what she meant, she scanned boarding passes for herself, my father, and my younger sister. Mine had vanished. Seconds later, airport security alarms erupted around me, and armed officers rushed in my direction. What happened next changed my life forever. As officers surrounded me, I looked desperately toward the boarding gate. I expected panic from my family. I expected confusion or concern. Instead, they calmly continued toward the aircraft without even glancing back. My sister had shoved something into my tote bag moments earlier, and security quickly discovered it. Inside was a passport reported stolen the day before. While officers escorted me away, my family boarded their flight home as if nothing had happened. I was placed inside a detention room surrounded by glass walls. Most people would have fallen apart in that situation, but I could not afford panic. My entire career was built on finding hidden truths buried beneath complicated information. As a forensic accountant, I spent years uncovering fraud schemes and financial deception. So instead of crying, I analyzed the facts. My real passport was missing. A stolen passport had been planted in my bag. Authorities would need time to verify my identity. Then a terrible realization hit me. My grandmother had established a trust fund worth $2.5 million. The distribution date was scheduled for the following afternoon. Buried deep within the legal documents was a clause that transferred temporary authority to the next of kin if the beneficiary could not be located within a specific time frame. Suddenly everything made sense. My detention was not an accident. My family needed me unavailable for exactly 48 hours. They were not ruining a vacation. They were attempting to steal my inheritance. While I sat trapped inside that detention center, an unexpected visitor arrived. He was a sharply dressed businessman named Dorian Blackwell. His confidence filled the room before he even spoke. He informed me that he knew exactly who I was and what had happened. Then he explained that he had a problem of his own. A major corporate merger was approaching, and he suspected one of his partners was secretly stealing millions. Traditional auditors had failed to uncover the truth. Dorian offered me a deal that sounded almost unbelievable. He had connections capable of resolving my legal situation immediately. In exchange, I would help investigate the financial leak threatening his company. He was not offering sympathy or kindness. He simply recognized value when he saw it. For the first time in years, someone was speaking to me honestly. After negotiating better compensation and legal protection, I accepted. Within hours, I was no longer sitting in a detention cell. I was flying back to New York aboard a private jet. During the flight, Dorian provided an extensive report on my family. As I reviewed the documents, old memories resurfaced. I remembered selling my first car to cover gambling debts my father had accumulated. I remembered sacrificing opportunities so my sister could enjoy luxuries she never earned. Every page reminded me of another time I had been expected to rescue them. For years, I convinced myself that these sacrifices proved I was loved. Looking back, I finally understood the truth. I was never treated like family, I was treated like a solution. The deeper I dug into the records, the angrier I became. My parents had spent decades relying on me whenever their mistakes caught up with them. They praised my responsibility only when it benefited them. My success was valuable because it protected them from consequences. Now that a large inheritance was approaching, they were willing to destroy my reputation and freedom for financial gain. The betrayal hurt, but it also removed every illusion I had been holding onto. After arriving in New York, Dorian granted me access to information his security team had gathered. What I discovered was shocking. My sister had already begun spreading stories online claiming I suffered a mental breakdown abroad. My mother had contacted trust administrators with documents portraying me as unstable and incapable of managing my own affairs. They were not merely attempting to take my inheritance. They were carefully constructing a narrative that would prevent anyone from believing me if I fought back. Fortunately for them, they believed I was powerless. Unfortunately for them, they were completely wrong. While reviewing their financial records, I noticed severe debt problems hidden beneath the surface. My father still owed money to dangerous creditors. Multiple loans were overdue, credit cards were maxed out. They desperately needed immediate cash. That weakness gave me an opportunity. Together with Dorian and his legal team, We created a sophisticated investment company designed to appear as their perfect solution. The company offered fast financial relief through a bridge loan secured by collateral. There was only one catch. To use my trust fund as collateral, my parents would need to swear under oath that they possessed legal authority because I was incapacitated. The paperwork looked legitimate. The funding appeared real, driven by greed and desperation. They never questioned the trap. When an attorney representing our company contacted my father, he eagerly agreed to sign everything necessary. On the day of the meeting, I watched from behind a one-way window as my family celebrated their apparent victory. Champagne glasses clinked together while they discussed how quickly their problems would disappear. My sister took photographs. My mother smiled confidently. My father seemed relieved for the first time in years. None of them realized that every conversation was being documented and every signature would become evidence. They thought they were moments away from receiving millions. Instead, they were seconds away from exposing themselves. When the documents were finally placed on the table, I entered the room. The reaction was immediate. Faces turned pale, glasses froze midair. My mother looked as though she had seen a ghost. Calmly, I picked up the affidavit they were preparing to sign and explained exactly what it represented: perjury, fraud, criminal deception. Before they could recover, my sister attempted one final threat involving information she claimed to have stolen from my professional accounts. Unfortunately for her, that move only created additional evidence against herself. Within minutes, investigators entered the room. The confidence my family displayed all afternoon disappeared instantly. There were no dramatic speeches and no desperate apologies. Just consequences arriving exactly when they were due. The same people who had abandoned me in a foreign airport now faced criminal investigations of their own making. They had spent years believing they could manipulate every situation. This time, the numbers told a different story. Several weeks later, I finalized the inheritance paperwork from my new office overlooking the city skyline. Dorian and I completed our business arrangement with mutual respect. As I prepared for a long overdue trip back to Paris, I reflected on everything that had happened. People often say family is the most important thing in life. My experience taught me something different. Family is not defined by blood. It is defined by loyalty, honesty, and respect. When those things disappear, all that remains are strangers who happen to share your last name.